Accept no substitutes. The Brexit transitional period must end this year. Now, with everything that's happening in the world in terms of coronavirus, it's going to be very easy that Brexit is overlooked, simply swept under the carpet, and the government end up extending. This isn't something I want to happen, but it is something I am worried that will happen. People that watch my videos for a while may know my opinion on Boris Johnson. I like the guy. I think overall he's a good prime minister. Overall he's a good leader. However, he is flippy floppy. And if he thinks he can get away with extending, and if he thinks enough of the population are happy with an extension, I think he's going to try and do it. So we need to keep the pressure on. This is an email that I sent to my Tory MP, Ian Stewart. As one of your constituents, it's reassuring to know that you support Brexit. However, with the recent Conservative record on Brexit delays, I'm increasingly concerned with a Brexit transition period extension. With David Frost and Michele Barnier both isolated with COVID-19 and the EU slowing down negotiations, it seems with increasing probability that if the UK is to leave, it would have to be under a WTO Brexit. Will you personally be pushing forward with a WTO Brexit if it comes to that? With the economic fallout from coronavirus, now more than ever, the UK should look to decouple from its reliance on the EU. I think it's not unreasonable to say that the eurozone is a complete mess, and with the UK recession almost certain, any economic problems with a WTO Brexit will almost be unnoticeable. Now, I don't expect Ian Stewart to reply to this email. I'm going to send this email on the 31st of March. There's about 4 days. I mean, potentially there's still time he could reply. I don't think he will, because I basically asked him to, go state in an email on paper that he would support a WTO Brexit. No politician is really going to say that because they're all flippy floppy. I don't think any of the politicians are really true Brexiteers. They're mostly interested in their re-election, right? But I've sent that email, and I'll copy and paste the text of that email if you want to copy and paste it or modify it and send it to one of your MPs. Good luck if they're Labour or Lib Dem, because I don't think you're going to get much response out of them, but you may get something from a Tory MP. Now, I'm worried about the extension. The more people make noise and pester the MPs, look, you can't go down this road, you're going to be severely punished. In a small way, like a butterfly flapping its wings, it may have some influence in the grand picture of Brexit. But you can do that. I'll leave the links in the text if you want to send an email yourself. Now, there's only really 4 options that can really happen with happening. There's only 4 possible outcomes of where we are in terms of Brexit now. First one is we get a deal. Second, we leave with no deal. Thirdly, we extend. Or fourthly, rejoin. I mean, I don't think rejoining is really on the table. That would just decimate the government. It's not really a possibility. In terms of getting a deal, even within that option, you still have 2 further options, either a good deal or a bad deal. I don't think a good deal is really going to be on the table from the EU. They've never wanted the UK to have a good deal from the start. It'll be too much of a threat to the EU of having a United Kingdom that's trading well, trading with the rest of the world, trading with Europe well, because it's just going to encourage other countries that are struggling to leave, and now more than ever they cannot allow that to happen. It's very probable in the next few years, maybe even soon that, maybe even a few months possibly, with cases like Italy may leave, Spain may leave, Greece may leave or just be ejected. They don't want it to be easy for countries to do well outside of the EU. They want everybody to pull together and try and make this project work. So a good deal is pretty much off the table. A bad deal, I think the EU would happily give us a bad deal. No deal, that really comes down to the government being happy with the outcome, and an extension. I think an extension is probably significant at this point, probably like a 40%, 50% chance of an extension at this point. Now, legally, the UK leaves the EU on the 31st of December. I mean, we've heard this many times, right? We're meant to leave in March and October. Laws can be changed. People that say, oh, well, it's in law now. I mean, that law can be changed. Don't worry about that. Boris Johnson isn't worried about like a law binding him to leave. If they want to extend, they will extend. Now, the UK has till the end of June to request an extension. Of course, now the EU needs to agree to that. If they were to request an extension, late May, anytime up to the end of June, I think almost certainly the EU would agree to it, especially with everything that's going on. They need as many hands on the pumps in terms of the EU at the moment. So I think as much money coming in, it's a wealth transfer from the UK to the EU. It's not something they want to go away. Now, if everything goes well and we don't ask for an extension, which fingers crossed, I want that to be the case. I do want the UK to fully leave the EU come December, ideally on a good deal, if not under a WTO Brexit. I definitely don't want a bad deal. I mean, I'd rather much prefer to leave on a WTO than a bad deal. If we do get a deal, the deal needs to be in place by late November, because needs to be about 4 weeks for Parliament to ratify everything that's happened. So you're talking from where we are now, so we're 4th of April at the time of making this video, you're basically talking 6 months and a few weeks to get everything done, every I dotted, every T crossed, the whole deal wrapped up and packaged within 6 months. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think we're going to get a good deal. There's just, the EU don't want to give one, and 6 months and a few weeks, these things take years. I mean, initially, had we left on the 29th of March 2019, the UK would have had 21 months of negotiation time. Now, because of the Remainers and the treacherous Parliament, they dithered and delayed. We've squandered that 21 months, right? If we had left on the 29th of March, then we would have had 21 months of an extension period to get this wrapped up. But unfortunately, that hasn't happened. So now we're down to 6. You're taking something they anticipated 21 months and now compressed it to 6 months. Compound that with coronavirus, considering, negotiators and civil servants are being pulled off Brexit negotiations to be redeployed into COVID-19 duty. There's no way. There's just no way of a good deal being done in 6 months when neither party's really putting the time and effort into negotiations. They can't meet face to face. They're doing communications via online conferencing. There's no way. You can pretty much discredit a good deal happening at this point in 6 months with everything that's happening in the world with coronavirus. It's just not going to happen. So the chances of a deal, highly, highly improbable. I mean, they can knock out a bad deal, but that's no good for anybody. So you can pretty much rule out a good deal happening. A bad deal could happen. We could WTO or we could extend. It's really down to the government now. Are they happy pulling the trigger on a WTO Brexit? I personally don't think Boris Johnson was ever happy with a WTO Brexit. It just doesn't seem plausible to me. Otherwise, we would have left in October. We've done the previous videos on that. I think now more than ever is a good time for a WTO Brexit. The economy's in a mess, and from time to time you need recessions, right? In market economies, especially market economies that have fractional reserve banking and central banks, recessions happen. They're needed. They're needed to clear the market. That tends to be a fault of a central bank. We can do more videos on why I believe recessions happen, but I think it's the credit expansion caused by central banks and fractional reserve banking that causes malinvestment and distortions in the market. We have that system. That system's not going to go away anytime soon. You need recessions, right? So a recession at the moment is needed. Quite a deep, vigorous, possibly a depression is what it's going to take at the moment to clear the market. Now, why not just throw WTO Brexit into that at now? Because we're facing a huge recession. A recession is probably going to last years. Just get WTO Brexit out of the way. I mean, it's probably not going to even knock anything off GDP at this point. GDP's been ravaged anyway. It doesn't make any sense to kick the can to, say we get a 2-year extension, right? In 2 years, the situation might not be any better. We might just, in the best case scenario, we'd be just crawling out of a recession. And then you throw another WTO into the mix, or the fear of a WTO. It doesn't make any sense. You just bite the bullet, get everything out the way now. There's no real upside to being coupled so closely with the EU anymore. The EU is a sinking ship. Italy's going to collapse soon. Spain's going to collapse soon. The pigs are going to collapse soon. So we need to just get away from this as quickly as possible. If you want to, email your MP, try and make some noise on this one. I mean, I'm not even that hopeful we leave. So that's just where I am. Maybe I'm pessimistic. I'm not that hopeful that we leave on the 31st of December. But if an extension comes to it, ultimately we'll be out because the EU is a failing project. Anyway, I think it's quite possible this time that Italy will leave before the UK, because Italy's not going to mess around if it chooses to leave. It's going to leave just next day. Or tops, they'll give them a month or a week's notice, right? It's not going to be long. They're not going to mess around with these, multiple year transitional periods. They're just going to be gone. So that's my thoughts and feelings on this one. Make some noise about it. Start sharing these things on social media. Email your MP, because it's important now, because just the options we have left is either bad deal, WTO, Brexit, or extend, or God forbid, rejoin. That's my thoughts and opinions on this one. Thanks for watching this video. Fingers crossed that we leave on 31st with a WTO Brexit. That's going to be the best possible outcome, best possible realistic outcome at this point. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.